Hey, it's Tim.
And it's Amy from GoWithLess. We're glad you're here. In this week's video, we're sharing a huge development that our nomadic fire life just took. We're excited to share it with you. We hope you'll watch the whole video.
In 2015, Amy and I retired in our late 40s, and in January of 2020, we sold our home and became full-time nomads. Just about a week ago, we sold our last remaining car, and now we consider ourselves international nomads.
Yay!
Because we are on a plane, hopefully everywhere we're going to travel to.
Or a train or a boat,
or a train
not
or
a car.
A boat, but not a car. So every Wednesday here on our channel, we're talking about our nomadic fire life.
We hope you'll give today's video a thumbs up, subscribe over here for those Wednesday videos, and let's get into talking about our new chapter.
Yep, so I guess getting rid of our car, for me, was sort of a non-plus sort of thing. It wasn't anything that gave me a lot of emotion. So I'm sort of thrilled to be rid of our car because we don't have to worry about insuring it. We don't have to, actually we're going to talk briefly about that. We don't also have to worry about storing it. We don't have to worry about anything to do with it. So it's sort of nice to have it gone from our life. The beauty of our life as we've planned it going forward is that we intend to be in places where we'll either be in a house where there's a car available, we'll be in a city where we can actually use public transportation, we'll be with friends and family, and we can just rely on friends and family to get us around. So we have plenty of options.
Or we'll rent a car.
Or we'll rent a car. So we have plenty of options to make sure that we have availability to great transportation in our life, but it doesn't have to come with us owning a car.
And here's the reality is that we are only planning to be in the United States for about 2 months a year ongoing. And it's not just one spot that we're going to be in. We're going to be in places like Washington, D.C., Denver, Colorado, Charlotte, North Carolina, Austin, Texas. These are not close together. So the idea that we're going to be a couple weeks in each place, a week or two in each place, does not make a car make any sense for this. So our car was a 2008. The used car market is fantastic, as many of you will know. So we were lucky to sell it when we did. It was in great condition. We were so glad to have it because our fire plan was supposed to be get out of the country on June 1st of 2020. Well, that didn't happen. So we are so grateful that we've had that car. It's been a source of freedom and flexibility while we've been here actually we're in Mexico now, while we were in the United States. And if you saw our video from maybe 2 weeks ago, I'll put it up above, you'll see that that car was really packed tight. We filled it. Any space we're in, we seem to fill, whether it's a house, a car, whatever. And here is what I have been kind of dreading. I thought that I would have a really hard time letting go of the car. So where Tim is nonplussed, I thought I would be the exact opposite. I did a video 2 years ago as we were downsizing that was really hard to get rid of my things. There was a lot of sentimental that went along with all those feelings. And I thought the car would be really hard because these are the things that have been in our lives for 18 months. Like we brought and bought those to make our lives easier. So these were the most important things. I was very, very surprised. I was thrilled, and the idea of going with less was like, I'm liberated, as you say. I'm euphoric about this idea of going with less, and I do not have any torment over it. I feel great.
I think also something we realized throughout this process is that the amount of space that we had, we tended to fill. This is just like when we had a big house, we tried to fill up the big house. When we moved to a smaller space, we filled up the smaller space. When we were just in our car, we filled up our car. It was completely full of stuff. And so this idea of going with less is, I think we're more fulfilling on our promise to ourselves of actually doing this when we just have our bags and we're traveling with just that. So the only thing we have left in terms of possessions are in a storage unit. And so
what we have in our bags.
Everything is there, and everything that's in our bags. That's exactly right. But no more car, not a second storage unit in our car. Now that is gone.
And I'm going to mention as well, when we were doing all these road trips all across America, sometimes we would leave our stuff in our car overnight because it was just a one-night stop. We always came out in the morning wondering if our car would be broken into and our stuff was stolen. It wasn't that it was so much valuable, but it would be a huge pain in the butt for us to come out and our car windows were broken or something like that in the middle of a road trip. And if we brought the stuff in, which wasn't always convenient because it was a lot of stuff, and we didn't always have a luggage cart available at a hotel, then we would have this all over our room and it would take up our entire space. So this whole idea of going with less, loving it. I am going to, well, before you do, you want to talk about the non-owner policy for a sec?
Yeah, so I mentioned insurance earlier, and so we are going to have some ongoing insurance, and we'll talk about this in some more details later. We haven't signed up for this
future
plan
videos.
yet. That's exactly
future
right.
videos later.
So there's a thing called a non-owner policy. So when you no longer own a car, it's still valuable to have liability insurance in your life so that if you drive somebody else's car or if you're in a rental car, that you have some liability coverage, number one. And then also the idea with this non-owner policy, if we eventually buy a car in the future and we want to sign up for insurance, our understanding is that you've been away from insurance for a while, you have a gap in your coverage. There is a huge premium associated with becoming insured again, because they assume you've been in jail or something crazy. And so we basically...
Who doesn't have a car?
Who doesn't have a car? We won't. And so this non-owner policy is set up to cover you in these gap sort of scenarios and give you some level of coverage when you're using other people's cars. So we're excited to have that, and again, we'll elaborate on that in the future, but we will have a non-owner policy.
And of course, we're really into credit cards. So for people who say your credit card covers that, this is something that's important to note, is that what your credit card covers is the car itself, the collision piece. As far as we understand, it does not cover liability. So if you hit somebody, if you are on an icy patch and hit a school bus of kids, I don't think your credit card is covering you for the liability of hitting those kids. If you are borrowing someone else's car, whether it's a family member or a house sit or something like that, if you also have a big accident in that car, the person there's a very good chance that you could be sued as well. We want insurance to cover for that. So we haven't bought it yet, but we will soon, and we will talk about that when we spend the money.
There you go.
Okay, so here's one reason why I think it's been so liberating for me to get out of the car, and I think there was a transition, and it is because we bumped up our luggage. So in the past, when we took long trips of 9+ weeks outside of the US, we would bring a very, very small roller bag, very small. And this time we did upgrade. That was a carry-on. We now got medium check-in bags, and that has made a difference, I think, in my mental state. So I have way overpacked. It is something that I'll probably be whittling down in the ongoing. I don't know, but I think I brought like 7 dresses with me, 5 skirts, 4 pairs of shoes. That's a lot. For people who've been long-term nomads, they're going to be horrified, I think, by those numbers. I'm not horrified. I know that it's a process, and if it allows me to make the leap, then so be it, and I'll cull as needed.
Yeah, we really love the idea of having just carry-on bags. So unfortunately, we realized that probably wasn't going to work, as the bags that we had that were our normal day-to-day suitcases, in Europe, they wouldn't be considered carry-ons, so we were going to have to be checking those anyway, so we decided just to upgrade.
Yeah.
And we understand that we're going to be paying the price associated with checking a bag whenever we're just about any airline today. It's hard to get free check bags, and so anyway, we're going to be paying that price, and we're signed up for it, and it is what it is. And there you go.
So that's it for the car chat for now. Let's talk about where we're going to be, because we have a lot of plans through September of 2022.
Yep, so we have a framework basically through September, so I'll run through that real quickly here. So we're here in Mexico through January the 14th. So we're here in Cancun, then we move on to Puerto Morelos, and then we're in San Miguel de Allende, and then we are in Puerto Vallarta. And then after the 14th, we really don't know necessarily what we're going to do until March the 14th. Ish. And so in March, the middle of March, we are heading back to the States. We intend to be in Florida for a brief while, and then we're going to be in Arizona for a brief while. Both of those are sit situations.
House sits, yeah.
House sit situations. And then after that, after Arizona, we fly back to Florida. We're going to hop on a cruise, a transatlantic cruise that takes us from Fort Lauderdale to Barcelona. And then we are on a sit for roughly 3 weeks in Sitges, which is basically a suburb of Barcelona.
And it's actually its own nice town, I think,
Yep.
on the sea.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we hop on a cruise in Barcelona that is a Mediterranean cruise that's 8 nights. Is that
Yes,
right?
yep.
So we're on a Mediterranean cruise for 8 nights. And then we have to get out of Schengen. So we're immediately hopping on a plane to go someplace that's not in the Schengen zone, where potentially we think that's going to be the UK.
For about a month.
For about a month. And then we are coming back to the same sit in Sitges. We'll be there for 3 more weeks. And then again, we think we need to hop out of Schengen because we are hoping to get on a cruise that goes from Copenhagen to New York, and that happens roughly early part of September. So
Yeah.
that would be our plans through September. That's our
And that's
framework.
too early, really. That cruise, that one, so the cruises that Tim mentioned, the first 2, they're already booked. The one back to the US, that one, that's too far out. So
Well,
we haven't booked that out yet.
We would book that if we knew details about FinCon.
Yeah.
This is a conference we signed up for. We paid for it. Unfortunately, we don't know where it is or when it is, other than it's going to be in September, October timeframe. And
In the US.
Until we have the details about that, we can't book our return travel from Europe. So we've got to get that figured out.
Yeah, so we have talked a lot about not planning in advance so far. We have all these holes, which is very nice to hopefully allow some serendipity. We have some fabulous sits coming up that we're really, really excited about. And we're going to be taking all the lessons and experiences that we've had for the past almost 2 years as full-time nomads into our new lives. Now, I am having so much wanderlust because in the Facebook, the GoWithLess Facebook group, we have a lot of sharing of where people at the time being, sharing beautiful photos there and meetups happening around the world. And I am just green with envy. I want to be in all of the places. So all of that has really stoked our excitement, and we are ready for this chapter. Super duper. We've had our triple vaccine for COVID, so I think we're ready to go.
Yeah, I think this actually feels like it is the true launch of our nomadic lifestyle. Even though we've been nomads for 2 years, once we got on the plane to come to Mexico,
Felt different.
it felt different. So
Yeah.
we're going to have a secondary, I guess, launch, and here it is. We're thrilled about it.
And you know what? When we launched the first time in January 2020, we got on a Caribbean cruise. We had a wonderful time there, and it was a vacation to kick off our nomadic life. I think this is we're in the Marriott in Cancun. It's a little rainy right now, so we're kind of in the atrium, protected. But I think the idea of taking a vacation is really nice. It's something that we appreciate so much, even if it's a rainy day. Thankfully, it's not our entire lives. It's not the only week or two that we're taking off all year. So it's nice that the vacation as a nomad, I think, is something that we really need to remember to do because we enjoy it so much. Having a resort experience.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so what I want to know from you down below is, are you planning out in advance? What are you looking at in 2022? Are you way planned in advance? Are you just planning for the moment and still not traveling? We want to hear all about it down below. What you got?
That's it. Thank you so much for watching.
Hasta luego. See you
Adios.
next Wednesday.